After Lu Sheng and his family finished their eventful meal, they went to the front counter to settle the bill. As Lu Sheng approached, the cashier informed him that a master Bing Long had already taken care of the payment for their party. The news caught Lu Sheng by surprise. He stood for a moment, thoughtfully processing this unexpected gesture. He wondered if this was Bing Long's way of apologizing for her earlier behavior. After considering her lonely past and this act of goodwill, his resolve softened. He decided that since she had made this effort, he would go a little easier on her when they next met. The story then jumps forward several days. The preliminary rounds of the interstellar tournament had been raging for 8 cosmic days. After numerous intense screening rounds, the massive pool of contestants had been whittled down, but there were still over 40,000 talented warriors remaining. From this massive group, only 16 would ultimately emerge to compete in the grand finals. As Lu Sheng prepared for his next match, his sister, Sheng Yi, cheered for him with excitement, pumping her fists and shouting for her big brother to do his best. She proudly presented him with a floating, high-tech camera orb, explaining she had bought the best model to guarantee it would capture every moment of his fight. She added that the feed would be broadcast live back to their home planet, the Azure Star, and urged him to win first place for everyone back home. Her enthusiastic support was almost overwhelming, illustrated by a comedic scene where multiple versions of her cheered him on from all sides, chanting slogans like, "Azure Star is with you." Lu Sheng could only look on with a bead of sweat, speechless. Finally, with a fond, weary smile, he patted his sister's head, telling her he understood even if she talked a bit too much. Sheng Yi beamed with happiness at her brother's touch. As the moment for his departure for the next round arrived, Lu Sheng received some final words from his parents. His father, brimming with confidence, told his son that he believed in him and encouraged him to go for first place. His mother, however, was more focused on his well-being, urging him to be careful and not push himself too hard if the fight grew difficult. His father then grew nostalgic, recalling the simple days of driving his son to his high school exams. He marveled at how in the blink of an eye his son had journeyed to the stars, expressing immense pride in how far the Lu family name had come. Standing beside him, Snowy's expression was filled with concern. She gently took his hand, her blush deepening. Unable to hold back her emotions, she pulled him into a tight hug, her one request being that he must come back safely. Lu Sheng held her close, stroking her head reassuringly. He promised her not to worry, assuring her he would be fine. Their friends and the other martial saints from the Azure Star watched the moment from a respectful distance. One of the saints, a man with white hair, looked on with anticipation, declaring this was the moment Master Lu would finally shine his brilliant light across the starry sky. Just then, a holographic projection of President Sebastian appeared before Lu Sheng, asking if he was ready. With a confident grin, Lu Sheng looked at the projection and told the president not to worry. He declared that this would be exactly what Sebastian wished for, a battle to showcase his power. Pleased by his confidence, Sebastian added one last detail, informing Lu Sheng that he had arranged for an old acquaintance to act as his assistant. The news left Lu Sheng curious, wondering who this acquaintance could be. As Lu Sheng was wondering who Sebastian had sent, a voice called his name. Lu Sheng turned, and materializing before him in a flash of blue light was Alan, the enforcer he had met long ago. It had been half a year since they last saw each other. As the man who had guided him into the starry sky, Lu Sheng felt gratitude towards Lan. He greeted him with a small smile, acknowledging it had been a long time. However, Lan's gratitude towards Lu Sheng was greater. He happily informed Lu Sheng that thanks to his connection with him, he had been placed on the list of candidates for the next Star Sector Enforcer. Beaming with pride, Lan continued, explaining that he was now undergoing a Level 12 training program, and his official rank had been raised by 1 level, all thanks to Lu Sheng. Seeing how successful and pleased Lan was, Lu Sheng was reminded of his first guide back on the Azure Star, Lan Cheng. Lost in thought, Lu Sheng reflected that Lan Cheng was his true first guide into the wider world. He remembered how he had disappeared without a trace and found himself wondering what had become of him and how he was doing now. Meanwhile, on one of the spectator planets orbiting the tournament arena, a lone hooded figure sat in a dark, messy room,
watching the competition on a large screen. The floor was littered with empty cans. The figure was Lan Cheng, Lu Sheng's first guide. He stared silently at the screen, his expression somber. Another hooded figure, his face obscured by a gas mask, approached him. It was Chao Lin, who tried to console his friend. He told Lan Cheng to look on the bright side, reminding him that he had gotten a new model flying device delivered by Lan himself, a gift many others would envy. But these words offered no comfort. In a sudden burst of rage, Lan Cheng's hand clenched, crushing the cup he was holding. His face twisted in a furious expression as he yelled that he could have had so much more, 100 million times more, and that he didn't need any handouts from Lan. He was convinced Lan's gesture was not a gift, but a deliberate humiliation, and he cursed him for it. Overwhelmed by his failure, Lan Cheng broke down, burying his face in his hands. He sobbed, lamenting that he had been just one step away from achieving true success. Chao Lin, however, mocked his friend's misery, patting his back and sarcastically telling him not to cry. This only enraged Lan Cheng further, and he screamed at Chao Lin to get lost. As Lu Sheng and Lan arrived at the massive tournament arena, Lan began to explain the rules for the upcoming semi-final round. He detailed that the semi-finals would be broken into 5 rounds. The first 3 would be 10-person elimination battles, essentially free-for-alls, while the last 2 rounds would return to the traditional one-on-one duel format. Lu Sheng found this illogical. He questioned Lan, pointing out that both the preliminary and quarterfinal rounds had been one-on-one duels. It made little sense to switch to a 10-person battle royal at this stage. With an amused smile, Lan explained the reason. Apparently, the one-on-one format was taking too long, and the organizers received a flood of complaints. As a result, they made a last-minute decision to change the rules to speed things up. He added that since this was the first time such a massive tournament had been held, it was understandable there would be some organizational hiccups. Internally, Lu Sheng had a brief smug thought, musing that even variety shows on his home planet wouldn't have made such a mistake. Outwardly, he simply told Lan to continue. Lan went on to explain the bracketing. He assured Lu Sheng that while matchups were a random draw, the seeded players from each star sector were protected. To maintain excitement, the top contenders were almost guaranteed not to face each other in the initial Battle Royal rounds. With confidence, Lu Sheng replied that it didn't matter to him who his opponents were. Lan then gave him a picture of the remaining competition. He revealed that at this stage, over 20% of the fighters were powerful level 11 martial artists. The number of such strong opponents left Lu Sheng surprised. Still processing the high number of powerful opponents, Lu Sheng found it hard to believe there could be nearly 10,000 level 11 martial artists under the age of 1,000, even across 12 star sectors. This prompted Lu Sheng to ask Lan the question, were there any level 12 fighters among them? Lan became thoughtful, admitting that while there were suspected cases, he couldn't confirm anything for certain. Then he detailed the two most likely candidates. The first was the top-seeded player from the Hill Star sector, the ice demon Monroe. He possessed a sun-star-grade physique and had reached the peak of level 11 300 years ago. After that, Monroe went into a long seclusion to attempt his breakthrough, and now with his return, many rumored he had successfully reached level 12. Lon then introduced the second figure, a man from the Shilin star sector named Qian Yu Shu, who was just over 300 years old. Lu Sheng had heard of Monroe, but Qian Yu Shu's man felt unfamiliar. Lon noticed his reaction and asked if he also sensed something peculiar. With a serious expression, Lon revealed the rumors surrounding Qian Yu Shu. It was said that he was not from our world, but the reincarnation of a powerful expert from another civilization, another star region, or perhaps another universe. The mention of another universe sent a jolt of shock through Lu Sheng. Lon continued to explain the man's incredible history. Until age 50, Qian Yu Shu was an ordinary person, with a martial arts level barely at level 3. Then, in less than 200 years, he experienced an explosive growth in power, soaring all the way to level 11. Lon concluded that given this progression, it was highly possible Qian Yu Shu had already reached level 12. The revelation stunned both of them. Internally, Lu Sheng was in disbelief. This story was just like the reincarnation stories from his past life. He couldn't believe he was about to face a real-life reincarnated expert. The initial shock, however, quickly faded and was replaced with excitement. He was more than ready to face a reincarnated expert. He was eager for the challenge.
By a sense of anticipation, the thought of encountering such a unique and powerful opponent made the competition suddenly seem far more interesting. A confident grin spread across his face, his eyes glowing with the excitement of the challenge to come. This is the end of the video. If you want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Amidst the spectacular futuristic cityscape, Qing Yi was ecstatic, exclaiming how amazing everything was. In her excitement, she added that if they only had some fried chicken, it would be even better. Lu Xing calmly gestured towards a nearby console, telling his sister that if she wanted something to eat, she just had to order it, as there were plenty of options available. As they watched the scenery, Lu Xing noticed that Snowy, who was standing behind him, seemed unwell, clutching her stomach with a pained expression. He turned to her with concern, placing a hand on her shoulder and asking what was wrong and if she was feeling sick. Blushing deeply, Snowy quickly dismissed his worry, assuring him that it was nothing and that she'd be fine in a moment. Lu Xing looked at her, and a thought crossed his mind. He realized that their passionate night together had been more intense than he thought, and she clearly hadn't fully recovered from it yet. Just then, a firework shot into the sky, signaling the official start of the competition. Qing's attention was immediately captured, and she shielded her eyes as she looked up, shouting with excitement that the tournament was about to begin. As fleets of spaceships flew overhead, an official explained that across the 12-star regions, there were tens of millions of level 10 warriors under the age of 1,000. Hearing this staggering number, Lu Xing quietly wondered to himself if that was considered a lot or a little in the grand scheme of things. As the tournament got underway, it was explained that the preliminary and semi-final rounds would last for several days, with the combat continuing without any breaks until the final round concluded. The matches were designed to be non-stop. As soon as one group of fighters finished, the next would begin immediately. This ensured the audience would never be bored, and a key safety feature was in place for the competitors. The fighters all wore semi-transparent combat glasses. These devices allowed them to get an approximate estimate of their opponent's combat power. If the power difference was too vast, the weaker fighter could simply surrender. If the gap was small, they would proceed with the battle, preventing unnecessary injuries and one-sided massacres. Watching this system in action, Lu Xing found it all a bit peculiar, wondering to himself if this was some kind of universal martial arts trend. After watching the preliminary fights for half a day, Lu Xing decided it was enough for the time being and took his family to get some lunch and rest. The martial saints, including Lin Zhenyu, were too engrossed in the spectacle and chose to stay behind. They were thrilled, exclaiming that watching a battle between level 10 warriors from across the universe was a rare opportunity. There was no time to rest, and they wished they had more eyes to take it all in. Lu Xing and his group arrived at a uniquely designed establishment called the Hunter's Restaurant, which was shaped like a giant pineapple with a door that looked like a slice of bread with a sausage for a handle. Intrigued, Qing Yi asked Lu Xing why the restaurant had such a strange name. It was then explained that the planet they were on was said to be filled with monsters that had transformed from delicious food. The martial arts practice on this world was primarily focused on hunting this delicious food as a way to achieve a higher level of culinary enjoyment. As a result, the martial arts masters of this planet were famously known as gourmet hunters, a fascinating piece of local culture for Lu Xing and his family to discover. With a cheerful attitude, Lu Xing announced it was time to go in, and his family eagerly followed. As they stepped through the entrance, they were immediately greeted by the restaurant staff with a loud, formal welcome for the immortal Count. An ID scanner at the door had automatically transmitted Lu Xing's high status information, ensuring he and his party received the highest honors. The reception was so grand that even the owner of the restaurant, a well-dressed man with purple hair and pointed ears, personally came out from the kitchen to greet them. However, just as they were being led to their table, a hand suddenly pressed against Lu Xing's chest, stopping him. He looked down to see it was Bing Long, the blue-haired warrior who had challenged him earlier. She stood before him, blocking his path with a determined expression. Bing Long reminded Lu Xing that he had rejected her offer to spar the last time they met. She declared that this time he would have no excuse, her hand already gripping the hilt of her sword, ready for a fight. Seeing the tense confrontation, Lu Xing's family looked on with confusion and concern, wondering who this aggressive woman was. With a calm smile, Lu Xing turned to his family and reassured them that everything was fine, and that it was just someone he'd met earlier.
He knew. His expression then hardened as he turned back to Bing Long, his eyes glowing with a faint purple light. He sternly asked if she couldn't see that he was there to have a meal with his family. He then told her that if she truly wanted him to give her a beating, she should wait for him at the entrance, and he would meet her there after he finished eating. Bing Long was visibly taken aback by his direct and confident response. Before the situation could escalate, Liu Shenning's mother stepped forward with a warm and disarming smile. She asked her son if the woman was his friend, kindly suggesting that if she was welcome to join them for their meal. Disarmed and flustered by the unexpected kindness of Liu Sheng's mother, Bing Long bowed her head slightly, apologized for the interruption, and quickly retreated. Liu Sheng watched her walk away, a stern look on his face. Internally, he thought about how incredibly annoying she was. He had been trying to avoid fighting her out of respect for the officials who had brought him there, but he was quickly realizing that he wouldn't find any peace until he finally gave her the fight she so desperately wanted. With the confrontation over, the family settled in for their meal. The restaurant's service was as unique as its theme, with a variety of alien waiters moving gracefully through the elegant dining room to the sound of soft music. One of the waiters approached their table carrying a small, ornate chest. He opened it to reveal a bizarre fish-like bowl with large googly eyes that seemed to be alive. The waiter then carefully placed the peculiar, animated bowl on a plate in front of Liu Sheng. Suddenly, the bowl's outer rocky layer began to crack and crumble away. In a magical flourish,
The exterior disintegrated completely, revealing a beautiful, ornate bowl filled with a steaming, delicious-looking soup adorned with edible flowers and sparkling with an otherworldly glow. The entire family gasped in unison, their faces filled with pure amazement at the spectacular culinary presentation. A wide, appreciative smile spread across Liu Shang's face. He thought to himself that while the food at the hunter's restaurant might not be the most conventionally delicious, it was without a doubt the freshest he had ever experienced. At that moment, he finally understood the true meaning of the restaurant's concept, marveling at the incredibly fresh and unique meal before them. The family enjoyed a massive feast, with the table completely covered in a wide variety of delicious-looking dishes. Liu Shang's father was particularly impressed, exclaiming that the dozen plates they'd ordered had arrived in just a few minutes, calling it the fastest service in the world. As Liu Shang took a bite of a large piece of fried chicken, he marveled at how freshly made everything tasted, so much so that he momentarily forgot to record a video for his social media, unlike his sister Cheng Yi, who was busy filming the meal. While eating, Liu Shang's thoughts drifted back to his earlier encounter. Deciding he needed to know more, he discreetly used a holographic interface to look up information on Bing Long. What he found immediately caught his attention. The file revealed that Bing Long was a war orphan from a place called the Battlefield Planet. Reading further, Liu Shang learned about her tragic past. She had no mother, no relatives, and no friends, having lived in complete solitude for over 900 years. Her only known hobbies were ascetic training and food. This information suddenly made her abrasive behavior make sense to him. He concluded that she was essentially a recluse with extremely low emotional intelligence, which explained why she had so persistently and inappropriately challenged him to a fight on 2 separate occasions. While he now understood her reasons, his patience was wearing thin. He resolved then and there that if she dared to challenge him in such a manner one more time, he wouldn't hold back. He would give her the sound beating she was so clearly asking for, a look of determined frustration on his face as he gripped his food tightly. This is the end of the video. If you want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel.